I hope you guys are ready because we're about to see some craziness in the stock market. Looking intraday today, it was pretty great as the market blasted higher and a ton of stocks like Tesla, Google, and even GameStop rocketed to the upside. In today's video, we're going to talk about why tomorrow will be the most important day of the week. And at the end of today's video, you guys are in for a treat. We actually have two multi-million-dollar trades that you won't want to miss. We have a great video today, so definitely make sure to stick with us. But Tom, let's get right into today's episode.
Yeah, so many stocks were blasting up today. GameStop is up in after hours. It was just a very explosive day all across the market on Powell Eve. I know last night I thought that was hilarious, Mike, when you called it Powell Eve, and that is kind of like exactly what's going on here. And tomorrow, Powell is going to be probably the biggest thing to watch at 2:30 p.m. Eastern time, and then we still have to watch out at 2 p.m. Eastern time for the interest rate decision too. I will say probably from 2 p.m. Eastern onwards, we're going to see a lot of volatility all the way into close. So be ready. Click the link below to join up on the Discord. We'll definitely be watching and trading a lot of this price action. So join up. I'm sure it'll be a really fun time in there with everybody trading. But Mike, we're set for a humongous move. The SPY had a big run up today. We're getting really, really close to $399.50 to $400, which is going to be a humongous psychological level. And if we actually go out to like a 1 hour chart, over the past couple months, we've actually had a lot of hits right around 401 as well, which I'm circling here. So I'm going to be watching 400 to 401 for the next day. Man, if we end up rocketing up tomorrow and breaking some of these resistances, it could end up being amazing. But then again, if maybe Powell, if they come out with no rate hike, or maybe they go to 50 basis points or something, it could maybe shock the market, and who knows what could happen. But I think if they stick with the plan and they go with 25 basis points, I think it could end up being a pretty good day.
Yeah, so I just hope you guys are ready for tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern time. Buckle up. It's going to be a crazy time. We have huge resistance on the SPY at like $400 to $401. And at the same time, like Tom said a couple times, we have a big interest rate decision tomorrow. So be prepared for that. But Tom, shifting gears just a little bit, when you look at the heat map today, it was pretty good, and it was actually a lot better than most people would have expected. Google, Amazon, Tesla, Nike, ExxonMobil all had some really good days, and especially Tesla, though. Tesla made a statement today, and actually when we look at the chart intraday, there's actually some real news to go behind this. So essentially what's happening is Tesla officially made it to blue chip status in, you could say, the corporate debt market. And without getting too complicated, the main thing you need to know is that Tesla has finally earned the respect of, the corporate bond market, and they earned their stripes. And essentially what's happening right now is Moody's upgraded Tesla's debt rating. And essentially what this does for Tesla is it makes it a lot easier and a lot cheaper to borrow money. So when you think about Tesla going forward, whether they're trying to build new plants or, invest into new technology or whatever you could imagine, it's going to be easier and cheaper for them to borrow money. And, Tesla stock loved that news.
Yeah, they really did. I mean, that was a big run up today ahead of the big FOMC event. They're almost up to $200. And, I did want to note that today, a lot of stocks are running up into huge resistances, whether it's Tesla, whether it's NVIDIA running up to around 260, 250, where they bounced at a lot lately, whether it's the SPY getting close to 400, whether it's Microsoft running up to 280 to 282 lately. I mean, we're seeing so many stocks starting to bounce off resistance, and Tesla is starting to get really close to that $200 level again. And I don't know, Mike, this might finally be what we need for a bigger push up. And it does look like on a technical basis here, Tesla's had some pretty good support bounces down here also around like 160 to 170. Looks like that's the second time we've hit there. Also kind of looks like a inverse head and shoulders type of pattern back up. So I think Tesla looks like we could easily come up to at least 200 tomorrow, maybe retest that. If we break, maybe we'll start to test this like 208 to 210 resistance from the recent highs. I think that recent high is a very attainable level if we don't even break out higher with this good news. Like, that is some really good news for that with the corporate bond market, Mike. I know that isn't necessarily like a huge thing to a lot of normal traders, but that is going to end up bringing a lot of price stability, I believe, in the Tesla stock.
Yeah, exactly. And another thing that's worth noting, it's just like Tesla's overall price action is right now, when it's up, you could say 8% on the day, and we're just below that key $200 resistance. Tomorrow with the FOMC event, that can be the spark that, lights the fire and that, causes a continued Tesla uptrend. But at the same time, that FOMC event can be like a giant punch to the face for Tesla and cause a huge rejection off of this $200 level. So it's like we're at a point right now where Tesla, is showing some good momentum, and tomorrow is either going to boost it higher, it's going to, just lift the brake, you can say, where Tesla flies higher, or it's going to be a situation where Tesla just gets punched in the face and, maybe we look for like a retest of that $175 support. I think it's ultimately going to depend on the sentiment and price action that we see tomorrow.
Yeah, definitely. And that's just going to be such a huge thing right now. And I know Tesla has been, not really necessarily the most correlated to the SPY, but whenever you have big events like this, I assume Tesla will start to move more with the overall market, especially for the next couple of days. And I just wanted to kind of go back a little bit, Mike, because, Tesla's running up. We keep talking about the FOMC. It just seems like inflation's is so high right now, around 6% still. And then we obviously have that chance of no rate hike tomorrow. It seems like we're going to come out, looks like they're going to come out with 25 basis points. But man, like, what do you think about that no rate hike situation? Because I know a lot of people keep thinking that, no rate hike could be a pretty big deal. Do you think that that could end up maybe making the markets go down, or do you think that might help them actually go up a little bit? Because I know, like, over the past few times, if they raise rates higher than expected, that kind of shocks the market and sends it down. But I wonder what would happen if they did it kind of like under the expectation.
That's the thing, Tom. That's the multi-billion-dollar question, and it's very interesting in multiple different ways. As you just said, like, it's kind of weird to even be talking about a chance of no rate hike, even though inflation is still at 6%. Like, it's kind of whack. But, most likely what's going to happen is a 25 basis point rate hike. But what's weird is, like, if we're being honest, and if like every economist was talking, straight up and, doing what is best for the economy in the long term, I think most people would agree that a rate hike is needed tomorrow and that there should be no chance of, no rate hike. But the thing is, the market a lot of times can move in irrational ways. So like, let's say we have no rate hike tomorrow, and let's say they just keep rates flat. Most likely, I would think the market pops up from that, given that, it's bullish news in the short term, even though it's probably not the best decision for the long term. So I think most likely what's going to happen tomorrow, 25 basis point rate hike. But what's even more important than that is what Jerome Powell says. Even if there's like no rate hike and Jerome Powell is super bearish, that could bring the market down just by itself.
Yeah, it really could. And I'm very curious to see what he's going to say with all these bank situations going on. Obviously, what we saw with Credit Suisse, First Republic. Obviously, we've just been seeing all these banks go insane lately. Obviously, some of the big ones like Bank of America, JP Morgan, and et cetera are doing a little bit better. I know a Silicon Valley was that big one that failed. I mean, look at that poor bank here, Mike. This is just terrible to see SVB do this in the way that it did. It shocked the market, and I think that might throw a little bit of a wrench into like what Powell's going to have to deal with here and what they're going to talk about. So it's going to be very interesting. I hope that they go with at least 25 basis points, Mike. Some people even think that they could go with 50. I don't think that that's going to happen. I think they'll just stick with 25, but it's going to be a crazy event. I hope that it brings the SPY up through 400 and just helps all these other stocks like Tesla get through some of these big resistances too.
There we go. So one other stock I want to talk about before we move on is Google. So this stock had a day where basically they announced news where they're bringing like their version of ChatGPT. It's called Bard to the public, and ChatGPT has been all the talk over the past couple months. So anything with AI and AI style bots is pretty good news. and the stock boomed off of this, and the price action was amazing intraday.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, even last week, Google is having an amazing run to the upside, and we got that nice breakout and continuation today. Last week, we got above 100, so it's looking fantastic for Google. If we go out to that daily chart, I noticed that they've also been bouncing off of a nice lower trend line down here. If we draw it out, you can see that there's been multiple hits off this trend line on the way up, and it seems like, we're about to hit this big resistance again around 108 to 110. Maybe we can get a big break of that with some good news tomorrow as well. Again, another big stock running up into a big resistance level right now. But I don't know what's going on with all these chat bots like Bard, Chat GPT. There's a couple others out there as well. It's getting crazy, Mike. It's almost like the new SPAC. Remember how everybody was doing SPAC deals back in the day and everybody was running up? It seems like every once in a while the market gets into some of these phases with some of these cool things going on. And it seems like right now the chatbots are getting some of these stocks to have a lot of momentum.
Yeah, you know it. I mean, like every now and then you just have like a phase, just like you said, whether it's electric vehicle stocks, whether it's AI stocks, whether it's marijuana stocks, like you name it, the phase comes and goes, and we're definitely in one of those artificial intelligence slash AI bot phases right now. So far, some of the stocks that have moved the most off of it are Google and ticker symbol AI. But other stocks will definitely have some big moves on it going forward, without a doubt.
Yeah, they will. It's going to be a crazy market out there. Some of these growth stocks are insane. And, talking about some of the growth stocks, Mike, I will say we're going to see some pretty crazy stuff with earnings over the next couple days as well. So just keep your eyes out, guys. Chewy is going to be a big event tomorrow. It's nothing too crazy. It's not going to be anything like the FOMC event, but I figured I'd mention them because, we do talk about Chewy quite a bit on the channel.
Yeah, I think it's going to be the most important earnings release for this week so far, given that Nike's already completed. But yeah, Chewy normally has some pretty good moves, so I'll definitely keep it close on the radar. But Tom, as we talk about earnings, we can't forget about GameStop. So far, the movement has been amazing, and believe it or not, they actually posted their first quarterly profit in 2 years. What's going on?
Yeah, that's insane. First quarterly profit in 2 years. The stock is booming in after hours here, as you would expect for somebody who posts their first profit in 2 years. I will say, Mike, it looks like they're still holding on to a ton of inventory, but it is down quite a bit from a couple years ago. Looking at some of the numbers here more in depth, I will say it looks like the profit was about 48.2 million or about 16 cents per share. It's not really the most in my opinion, but it definitely beats a loss of 147 million last year. So I'm glad to see him doing a lot better. It's awesome to see him starting to pop up. They've been doing a lot of stuff to turn this company around. They've even had to let go of their chief financial officer and replace them. There's been a lot of other people added, like Ryan Cohen, the founder of Chewy, and a Bed Bath & Beyond activist investor as their board chair. So there's been a lot of stuff that this company's been doing to turn things around, and looks like at least in the short term here, it's working right now.
Alrighty, so make sure to keep a close eye on GME tomorrow. We all know how this crazy stock moves. But with that being said, Tom, let's get right into some setups for tomorrow. One stock I'm watching pretty closely is NIO. This is an electric vehicle company. It's very oversold, and a lot of stocks in this industry have been moving up in a pretty good way in the short term. Right now, NIO is lingering right around like $9.25 per share. I'm assuming like the event tomorrow with interest rates and, assuming just the market holds up, I do think there's a chance that NIO can get close to that $11.70 level. It's bouncing pretty strongly off this $8 support. And like I said, as long as the market holds strong, I think this has potential.
Yeah, I love this one, Mike. And hey, guys, stick around for one of these unusual options coming up. Someone's betting a lot of money on one of these other EV stocks as well, which, if that one goes up, NIO could definitely follow along too. So stick around for that coming up. One of my big ones, Mike, is NVIDIA, of course. I don't think I could go 1 week without mentioning this stock in one of my favorite setups here. They're just so volatile and they get so much movement. I noticed this stock has a perfect double top right around 264. So I'll really be watching this for a potential move down or up tomorrow. I think this could go either way with the FOMC event. So if we break 264 to the upside, watch for some calls. That could end up being a pretty good breakout. But at the same time, if we end up falling down under 260 and then maybe even under 258, I'll definitely be watching for some puts to the downside. I'm leaning more towards puts, but that it seems like these chip stocks lately just don't slow down. And if the market breaks out, we'll probably see most stocks rise.
Alrighty. Another one I'm watching for tomorrow is SPXS. This is an inverse leveraged ETF. To make it simple, essentially, when everything else is falling, this thing explodes to the upside. More specifically, it follows like the S&P 500. So like if the S&P 500 is, let's say, down 1%, SPXS will be up around 3%. So basically, it's just kind of like a good hedge for the market going into tomorrow. If we see a lot of panic, if Powell says something bearish, SPXS can be a good move to the upside for tomorrow.
Yeah, it's pretty much like an inverse of XPXL as well. SPXL is actually the bullish ETF for, obviously the Direxion 3X bullish ETF. So keep that in mind. I like this play on SPXS, Mike. If the market drops, SPXS could actually have a humongous explosion over the next couple days. So keep it on the radar. I will say, Mike, I hope the market doesn't do that. I kind of hope that SPY blasts up through resistance. And I hope that Palantir can continue on this nice uptrend. Palantir had a nice pop today, as a lot of growth stocks did. It was strange. Palantir was up. DraftKings was up. Tesla was running. I mean, pretty much a lot of growth stocks all across the board. Like Plug was even flying to the upside. SoFi even managed to fly up a lot. So it was just like a growth stock trader's dream today. But I will say, just keep watching this overhead resistance on Palantir. It's going to be very important as we start to go forward for the next couple of days. If we break above 860, I think it could be pretty big with Powell and all the FOMC events going on. And I feel like we could maybe target $10 again if we start to get enough momentum.
Here we go. Well, with that being said, it is now time for the momentum plays. With the first one, we have Disney to the upside.
DIS, very nice movement up today. Nice to see it bouncing off that $90 support. If they can break back above $97 tomorrow, watch for a nice push to the upside.
All right, with the next one, we have Tilray, also to the upside.
Yeah, those marijuana stocks, Mike, are flying up. I know you were talking about Tilray a ton down here. Nice to see it pop up again. If they can break out above 270 tomorrow, watch for some potential calls again.
And with the last one, we have AMD to the downside.
Yeah, these chip stocks are starting to hit off some of these major resistances in a big, big way. If AMD can break back under 95, watch for some puts.
There we go. So keep AMD on watch for a downside play tomorrow, only if it breaks below that lower level. And then keep a close eye on Tilray and Disney for those upside levels as well. But it's now time for my favorite part of the video, and that is the big money trades of the day. We have two of them today. The first one is $1.2 million that went into the Rivian $12.50 strike call options that expire on January 17th of 2025. For those of you who don't know, Rivian is an electric vehicle company. They have gotten absolutely clobbered over the past couple of years. Right now it's trading for around like $13.50 per share. This thing has highs of $180 a share that it made in November of 2021. It's very oversold on a technical level. To be fair, they were very overvalued when they IPO'd. But basically what we're seeing now is, the big money betting that Rivian is going to move up, and what's interesting is that the higher Rivian goes, the more millions that this trader will make. Looking at this trade, to me, it expires in January of 2025, so you have a ton of time. The strike price is, right at the money, so I actually really like the risk-reward ratio on this one. What's worth noting is that, this stock can definitely fall a little bit more before it rises, just because someone dumped $1.2 million into call options today, it doesn't mean the stock has to go up 20% tomorrow. Like, this stock can consolidate for some time or fall before popping up. So I do like the setup though, and I'm actually very excited to see how it progresses over time.
Yeah, exactly. Like compared to their trade, like they're going to probably be in for quite a while. Now, I will say though, there was a lot of momentum today, and today's setup is pretty nice. I kind of like this nice upper resistance or this nice trend line up here. I feel like if they could break above like 1375 tomorrow, they might get another nice breakout like they did this morning. It seemed like the whole entire sector was just having an amazing day. So I like this trade, and I do actually like it as a long-term pickup. Like, do you think that grabbing these and holding them for the long term, Mike, might be a pretty good trade? Like, obviously, it's a hold for like how long you think that they'll hold these? Maybe for 6 months to a year, maybe given depending on how much Rivian goes up. Like, obviously, like right now, if Rivian flies up to like $40 or something really quickly, they might let it go. But for the most part, they'll probably keep holding.
Yeah, you would think exactly. So like overall, I think it's a pretty good trade. Of course, it's risky, so keep that in mind. But I do like the setup, and I'm pretty excited to see how it plays out. But we actually have another trade for today, and this one's a little bit bigger. It's $4.04 million that went into SQQQ, and it is the 35 strike call options that expire on September 19th of 2023. So this one is a little bit more of like, I don't want to call it short term, but it's shorter term compared to the Rivian play. Essentially what this is, SQQQ, when the market panics, this rises. It's very similar to the SPXS trade that we talked about a couple minutes ago. So if the market tanks down, if QQQ tanks down, this will pop up. So this is essentially a trade that, the market overall is going to fall a decent amount. And I don't think this trade is bad. I think it's a decent hedge. And, if we see panic, this play can definitely print.
Yeah, I hope that this is a nice hedge here. It's a crazy play. SQQQ can go crazy sometimes, especially when the market drops. Man, that seems like a pretty crazy bet ahead of Powell tomorrow. I wonder if somebody might have called Powell last night and took him out to a steak dinner and asked him what's going on, because that's a pretty crazy bet here. I will say though, it is out to September, like you said, so there is a little bit of time on it, but that's a lot of money, Mike. And if the market starts to tank down over the next few days, this stock should start to go up in a pretty good way. So I will definitely keep my eyes on it. Pretty cool having two huge plays like this, and they're both over $1 million. Like, these are no slouches here, and I think the Rivian play is my personal favorite, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm with you for sure. And if you guys want to get access to these multi-million-dollar trades every single day that the trade is made before the market closes, check out that first link in the description in the comments down below. We post a bunch of these plays all the time, and when you're following the smart money, it normally ends in a pretty good way. These traders are not putting $4 million into the trade for no reason. They clearly know what they're doing, to say the least. But in addition to the big money trades, you'll also get access to trades from our bot. Some of the best day trades of today was our Google 103 strike calls that the bot called out at $205 each. They popped all the way up to $294 each. Our hybrid bot called out Microsoft puts at $330. Those went up to $420. And then the sniper one went again with AMD puts, alerted at 605, that popped up to 695. Of course, not every single alert ever wins. No software, no strategy can win every single trade, but overall, these bots do damn good, and they're just going to get better and better over time. And we have a lot of new features we're set to add pretty soon. So definitely try it out. It's that first link in the description and the comments down below. In the worst case scenario, you can cancel it anytime, but you'll get access to a bunch of custom bots you won't find anywhere else, in addition to swing plays and daily multi-million-dollar trades. Definitely check it out. It's that first link in the description and the comments down below. But Tom, tomorrow's the big day. We've been waiting for this for some time. It's like the first interest rate event that's actually pricing in a chance of no rate hike. We haven't seen like this. We haven't seen something like this in a long time.
Yeah, we haven't. I will say, if there ends up being no rate hike, I'm going to be pretty angry. Let me know in the comments what you guys think that they're going to end up doing. I think they're going to go at 25 basis points. I'm going to stick with the percentages, Mike. Usually this website and the CME FedWatch tool is pretty accurate. I will say I'm not sure it's actually been wrong since I've been watching it. I'm sure it's been wrong before, but since I've been watching it, I'm not sure over the past year or so. But yeah, it's pretty crazy, Mike. I hope that they go with 25 basis points and maybe the market can start to at least hold where it is or go back up. It seems like we're starting to bounce off that nice trend line that you talked about in that intraday video earlier. And I'm really hoping for a nice continuation off that bounce.
There we go. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. When you subscribe, you'll see our videos recommended to you more often. Last but not least, we want to give a giant shout out to today's member of the day, Acrid, in the Stocked Up Discord. You've only been in the chat for around a month, but you've been awesome so far. So definitely make sure to keep it up. It's awesome to have you in the chat. Besides that, let's have an amazing day tomorrow. And remember, if you're looking for some short-term trades and multi-million-dollar setups, definitely check out that first link in the description in the comments down below. Let's crush it.